Jails are intended to be punishment, but no one has ever been sentenced to die of dehydration. These two Colorado inmates died that way earlier this year. Their families say jail staff could have done more to save their lives. 9 Wants to Know investigator Melissa Blasius explains why the inmates died and what jails can do to prevent it.
Tyler Tabor's shoes sit next to the front door like he'll return at any minute, but he's never coming back.
It's very hard to get up every morning knowing that I'm not going to see him again.
I'm just so numb still. It just hurts too much.
The 25-year-old was arrested for heroin possession in May. Tyler's parents, trying to exercise tough love, decided not to pay the $300 to bail him out of the Adams County Jail.
We thought that he would be safe.
3 days later, a deputy found Tyler on the floor of his medical cell with a gray color to him and having a difficult time breathing. He died from dehydration.
It just doesn't make any sense at all.
9 Wants to Know found a similar death here at the Jefferson County Jail. Jennifer Lobato, arrested for shoplifting, pleaded for help as she was coming off opiates. She too was dying of dehydration. And what did the deputies do?
They said to all the other inmates in the pod, well, hey, look what happens when you come to jail and you're on drugs. This is what happens. Let that be a lesson to you.
Civil rights attorney David Lane represents both the Tabor and Lobato families.
Any serious medical needs cannot be the subject of what the law calls deliberate indifference by the jail. They can't just say, well, too bad for you.
Nationally, jail inmate deaths from drug or alcohol intoxication have skyrocketed, up 23% in just 1 year. And across the country, families have sued local jails when heroin users died of dehydration behind bars.
Part of what's required is to make sure that people keep hydrated, which is hard to do when people are throwing up.
Experts say heroin detox is like a bad stomach flu. It's something that has to be carefully monitored, whether in jail or a rehab setting.
And if necessary, then we have them transported to a hospital.
At Boulder County's jail,
we've got 6 people on opiate withdrawal right now.
Although arrestees who come in too high or too drunk may be turned away immediately, required to get medical clearance from the hospital before being allowed to see the inside of a jail cell.
Their behavior, their speech, how lethargic are they? We're looking at that when they come in, and as soon as they hit our garage, we're calling medical down right away. We're not doctors. That's not our job. Our job is to take care of them as best as possible while they're in our custody.
Jennifer Lobato, sweating and throwing up from withdrawal in her Jefferson County cell, did not receive medical attention until after she became unresponsive. After her death, the Jeffco sheriff reprimanded 6 jail deputies.
The cure for dehydration is extraordinarily simple. If you attend to it, if you just ignore it, people will die.
Tyler Tabor's parents still have many unanswered questions, and they say the Adams County Sheriff's Office won't talk due to an ongoing investigation.
So I want someone to try to convince me that they did everything in their power to help my son. I don't think they can, but if they would try, I want to listen.
And the Adams County Sheriff's Office would not comment for our story. The jail's contracted healthcare provider would only say that they are deeply saddened by any patient death. We have asked for a copy of Tabor's death investigation, and Kyle, we will tell you about that when we get it.
You mentioned that Jeffco reprimanded these deputies. Reprimand is not exactly forward-looking. What have they done in that regard?
Sure. At this point, they've done several things, Kyle. First of all, they've added an additional nurse. They've created a communication log between deputies and medical staff. And there's also a policy that all inmates withdrawing from drugs now will get medical attention without delay.
You can certainly understand where Tyler's parents are coming from, thinking he's going to learn a lesson, he'll be taken care of, it'll be uncomfortable, but he's safe there. And then to see that happen. Wow. All right, Melissa, thank you.
Thank you.
The search for answers to last month's mine spill near Durango has now moved to the nation's capital. Members of the House Science Committee pushed the EPA for what caused the spill at the Gold King mine and why it took so long to alert people living near the river. Before the committee got into questions about the spill, they questioned why the head of the EPA was a no-show.
Chairman, first let me express my I guess, all at the Secretary of the EPA actually not being here.
Unfortunately, EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy has declined to appear before this committee and answer questions about the role her agency played in causing this preventable spill. Perhaps she doesn't have any good answers.
The assistant administrator for the EPA did show up and says while the investigation into how it happened goes on, changes are being made to enhance communication.
If yesterday's jet fire in Las Vegas